Hi, Big E. So today we're working on the ram. You see, I already did some work here. We're going to go ahead. We're going to work on getting this panel secured. So basically, what we want to do is we got the paint ground down to metal, just to be sure that we have a surface that's clean for the weld, because we're going to tack weld this as well. We're going to tack weld this, so we need a clean metal surface so we can weld that. Also, once we're done welding, we also need a clean surface for the body filler to attach to. Any kind of paint or anything like that could compromise how well that the body filler sticks to the surface, and we don't want it to come loose, break apart, or crack. So now that we got some of this ground a little bit, I'm going to be using, using a 100 grit on my palm sander. We're going to see if we can go ahead and finish this off a little better. And then I'm going to work on that, and then when I come back, we're going to see what we got. All right, everybody, it's Big E. So what we're going to do now, we got this sanded down to bare metal here, all the way, and on your new panel as well. You want to make sure they have a protective coating that they put on for shipping. So you want to make sure you get rid of that as well. So you want metal to metal. So now, even though we have this part riveted on, what you want to do is make sure that it's tight, because you're still going to get some movement in this panel when you're driving down the road, even when you have Bondo on, and any kind of movement will make it crack. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to tack weld. I would say every inch and a half, I would put a tack weld in that there. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that, and that way make this a little more rigid. And make sure on your, I don't know if I can show you on the camera here. I don't know if I can catch the welder. Anyway, have your welder, your wire feed welder, have it set. Mine has two settings, minimum and maximum. This is not very thick metal, so what I would do, I put mine on minimum, okay, and then the wire speed, the feed you have to play with. But have it on minimum, because you don't want to burn a hole, and you will burn a hole through this on maximum. You even have to watch on minimum. But watch that you don't burn a hole through there. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm going to work all the way around there, and when you come back, I'm going to put on pause, and we're going to check out the welds, and we're going to see about grinding it down and getting it ready for body filler next. Alright, Biggie, I'm back here. So here's what we got so far. Don't judge my welding skills. They're not probably the best, but then again, it's a flux wire feed. So I went ahead and just spotted, stitch, whatever term you want to use, that panel on there, and it's tight. And that's what we want. We want it nice and tight joint there. So basically our next point, my next step will be grind it smooth, and then once we grind it smooth, it's at that point we can start mixing up body putty, that we can start putting the Bondo body filler in there and get it and start the smoothing process, and hopefully very shortly we'll get this thing smooth and in primer. Alright guys, Big E, so I'm just going to show you here. Basically what you want to do is, I don't know if camera can pick this up, but here's your weld. So you want it to glue to the panel, but you don't want to grind that. That's what's holding it. Okay? You want to grind the top side, because that's what's going to make it, because that's what you're worried about. You're worried about getting this smooth, and this. So that's why we have that channel that we put in there when we beveled it to create that. Now I'm exaggerating, but that little dip where the panel fits in, so that way the body filler and your welds can lay in there, and that's what's going to help hold it. Now we still have those pot rivets. Now I did grind the heads down, not all the way, but a good I would say a good 65-70% of the head I ground off. So the pot rivet is still in there holding it too as well, but these welds are going to help hold it even so that you don't get no cracking. So we can take a, now I did learn something. Now here it pushed away, but here what it is it isn't like, it didn't push this away, it pushed this in. So we'll just, so basically we'll just put a little more filler in there. But I mean, all in all, we're ready to mix up some body filler, and we'll get our first coat of body filler on here, and we'll see how it all turns out. So hopefully when you guys come back, I'll be spreading some mud. All right, guys. So we're back. So I got my body filler mixed up here, and somewhere I'm sure there's a high school auto body teacher losing his mind saying you should only mix up golf ball size. Well, we have a lot more area to cover. So go ahead and try and run it real nice and smooth. And don't get really too much on the repair panel itself. And remember, this is only the first pass, so it doesn't have to be perfect or 100% beautiful, because you are going to sand probably most of this off and have to make at least another pass or two. Make sure you get it in there real good. We're probably going to have to mix some more, because I don't think I have enough mixed up for what we wanted to do here. But you get the gist of it, so I'm going to go ahead and we're going to mix up some more here, and we're going to finish it off. We're going to let this harden up. And then once we do that, I'm going to show you how to go ahead, shape it, and at least get it somewhat smoothed out. And then we're going to hopefully do a little bit of block sanding on it to make sure everything's nice and flat, that we don't have like a sharp up ramp that you're going to see as soon as you paint it. So we're going to let this set up, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so our body filler has set up. And if you're like me, you're not the best at spreading it, so you get these ridges. So they have what they call, I guess the slang term is a cheese grater. So basically what you're going to do, like you're grating cheese, you're going to go ahead and use that to get the high spots knocked down. So it helps a little bit in the amount of time you're going to spend sanding. I'll show you then, because you can use 80 grit, but here's it kind of knocked that edge off a little bit. Not the greatest, but it'll save you a little bit of sanding. So the next thing we're going to do, I have 100 grit, I have an 80 grit disc. I'm going to fold that in half, and I'm going to use that kind of help it along a little bit to get it more even. So that's about where you can see it starts turning a lighter color. But you still see these dark, there's still low spots. So a lot of sanding here. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to get the orbital sander with some 100 grit sandpaper. I'm going to go over this. I started going here so you can see these spots here where it's dark. You have these lighter spots. So the light spots are where the sandpaper. The low spots where, well, I should say the dark spots are your low spots. So obviously we're going to need to put a second coat of body filler on here and try and reblend this. But we're going to go ahead and sand this, and we'll see if we get a second coat of filler on here and see how it turns out. Alright, so guys, I'm going to end the video here. This is the second coat of mud body filler we put on. So I'm going to feather that out and then probably primer it. Unfortunately, I have to get rolling. Something came up. So I'm going to do a video here. So basically all I'm going to do now is I'm going to take 100 grit sandpaper, my random orbit sander, blah, 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 and feather that all out, smooth it all out. I'm going to do a video where I'm blocking it. I'm going to primer it, but then I'm going to block it after the primer, because then you're going to see the primer in the low spots when you're blocking, so you know where to put more filler. But for now, all we're going to do is we're going to feather it. When this dries, we're going to feather it out, and I'm going to primer it. So like I said, I'm going to do a part 2 where we primer it, where it's primered already. We block it, we see the low spots, and we go from there to try and make it nice and even. So that's it for now. That's it for Big E. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. And watch out for each other. Take care of each other. We see you next time here at Big E's.